and get everything started. Hello and welcome everyone to the CAL FIRE Office of the State Fire Marshal's Fireworks and Explosives Training Series. My name is Kara Garrett and I will be available for technical assistance during this training. This training will last 2 hours and it will be recorded and shared at a later time with a slide deck. Please type any questions into the Q&A portion of your screen, and I am going to drop a link into the chat right now to allow you to sign in. If you are a part of an agency where you're in a conference room or multiple of you are on this meeting at once, please go ahead and enter your name in the sign-in sheet so we can know everyone who has attended. After the presentation, we will be holding a question and answer session. Should you encounter any issues, please give me a call at 916-201-5539 or send me an email. All of this information is also in your chat. I will now turn it over to Gershom to kick this off and get us going. Thank you all so much.
Hi, good morning and welcome everybody. This is our second iteration of this training. The first one was well received and we got a lot of important feedback to help improve as well. So yeah, the first one was last month, and this is just a field level fireworks and explosives training that we can get people more familiar with the things they'll be seeing every single day. And just some resources that we want you to be aware of when you're out there. You're not alone out there, and that's one of the main takeaways from this is reach out early, reach out often, so that we can get you the right resources quickly. So last year, January 1st, Assembly Bill 1403 asked for more information about fireworks, safety, education, injuries. And one of the biggest things that came from that is the requirement for us to do outreach with public safety agencies to just inform them about all the hazards with fireworks and to connect them with the correct resources and just more information about our office and our capabilities and the requirements to report fireworks seizures to our office. So these are all the things we're going to talk about. And this is me, arson and bomb investigator Gershom Slonim. I've been in law enforcement for 14 years. I recently graduated with my Master of Forensic Science in Arson and Explosives Investigation from Oklahoma State University. And I've also graduated from the United States Air Force Explosive Ordnance Disposal School, EOD school. And I've also been trained by the FBI in their hazardous devices school. It's the bomb squad. And right on your screen, you're going to see a QR code. This is a pre-test. If you have a smartphone or something like that, an iPad, you can pull this up and take a pre-test. And this is just to gauge the effectiveness of this training. So it helps me get better, and it might prime some questions later on where people have questions about specific items, or I can run through a case study or something like that just to help drive the points home. So I'll leave it up there for about another minute or so. That way everybody can get it. It's just quick 5 questions. It's got pictures, multiple choice, multiple guess. All right, I'll move on. You guys can take that while you're listening. So specifically the arson and bomb unit, we not only do arson investigation or firework enforcement, we do training, and we also help draft laws for all these things as well. So later on, you'll see part of the new health and safety codes. My supervisor was actually one of the main ones that wrote all this stuff. So I actually saw this stuff come across our desk, and it got into state law shortly thereafter. So arson, explosives, illegal fireworks are one of the major functions of our office as well. And also flamethrowers. We come across some flamethrowers. There were a handful last year. And this is our bread and butter, our statutory requirement to investigate all fires and explosions on state owned or operated or occupied facilities. So that's number one. And after that, and if a jurisdiction doesn't have an investigator, or there are incidents that happen where it's out of the span of control of the investigating agency, they can reach out to us for fires and explosions as well. So if there's a jurisdiction up north, Siskiyou or someplace like that, excuse me, they can call the duty chief line, say, hey, this is a bigger incident than I thought, and I need more help. We can come in as an ancillary, or we can take lead and stuff. We can do as much or as little as you need us to do. So if it's a non-sworn person asking for an investigation and it turns out to be arson, we can take that investigation all the way from the initial scene all the way to prosecution, and it does not cost the requesting agency any money. It's all part of our mission. And when people request us all over the state, we are pretty busy. So if we can respond, we will. It's a may respond. So if we're neck deep in some fireworks in the Bay or something like that, and somebody requests a fire investigation, we may or may not be able to assist. And just another couple reasons to call us: we can provide expertise for search warrants. And I just had one on Friday in the Santa Cruz area where an agency was trying to write a search warrant, and they were having some pushback from the judge on how they know certain fireworks or items were illegal just based off of somebody selling them online. So we provide that wording or verbiage you need for a search warrant to help convince a judge that there's probable cause to search someone's house to seize fireworks if they're selling them. And we have a team of 4. Hopefully we're hiring 2 more coming up. There are people in interviews right now that we can help draft policies, regulations, and the other statutes that, with feedback from public safety, we can help make this a lot better. This northern team is Chief Gouget and I. So I'm the second from the left, and then Chief Gouget is on the far right. That's me standing in a blast crater. Southern team is Nicholas Schroeder on the left with K9 Flash, and then on the right is ABI Charlie Elder with K9 Mocha. So Flash is an explosive detection K9, and then Mocha is an ignitable liquid K9. So those are available for requests as well. If there's a fire or explosion Nick and Charlie can go help out and do the best they can down there. And they're stationed out of Riverside, but also available statewide. These are some of the things that we have available for other state agencies as well, even federal partners, whoever's coming across fireworks. I don't know if you guys saw in the news in the last couple of weeks, there was a large seizure down in LA regarding uh, one of our licensees. But we have support based on a scalable model. So it can be as little amount as 5 pounds of fireworks, even like 1 pound of fireworks, all the way up to several 100,000 pounds. It's just how we attack that problem. And the earlier we get that notification, the better. And we can connect you with the proper investigator and the team to get the product away from your scene safely and avoid fatigue from your team. And we can get things taken care of in a quick manner. So these are our websites. One of the important ones is the Seize Fireworks reporting form. We're going to have QR codes. We're going to put that in the chat. We're going to put that all over the place. So that's one of the major ones is anytime a public safety agency, whether it's fire, police, or federal partners get fireworks, they're required to report them using that electronic form within 3 days of seizure. And that's the state law on that. And it's pretty good because we are the licensing authority. So if public safety agencies have a suspect where they say, hey, I have this person, they have hundreds or thousands of pounds of fireworks here. How do I know they don't have a license? And one of the first recommendations that I have to our partners is reach out to us, and then we can run their name and make sure that they either do or do not have a license. So that way you can levy the appropriate charges. This is a fireworks coordinator. Caleb Phillips, there's his contact information. It's available on the slide later. We also deal with motion picture program, and the reasons why all these agencies or programs come about is because there were accidents in the past. They wanted to make sure that people don't get injured using these pyrotechnics and fireworks and stuff like that. And BJ Mapani, he's the one that heads that program. And there's his contact information. And for AHJs or authorities having jurisdiction and fire marshals in these areas, they like to do inspections of the booths. So GovModus is one of those tools where you can type in the name or license number of the booth, and then it'll tell you whether they have a current license for that. And it's really easy. There are some times when it's quirky. So if there's if it's outside of the pyrotechnic operator or booth or something like that, and it's just a person illegally selling fireworks or possessing them, and it's not really working the way you want, just reach out to us and we can make sure, or at least I can make sure that we check them the right way. And these are all the resources we have to cross-reference the registration, whether it's a booth is selling stuff they're supposed to. The easy way to tell is it's going to have the Safe and Sane logo on it, and that's there on the left in the middle. But sometimes those are forged. It's not too common, but if something's telling you something's up with the product or you suspect it's illegal, there's a little number on the bottom, and I'll show you a blown up picture a little later where you can not only cross-reference their license status in GovModis, but you can also cross-reference the items, and they have an approved fireworks list. So it's a useful thing for AHJs. And there it is. There's the Safe and Sane. Safe and Sane logo or seal. So it'll have a number there on the bottom where it says CSFM registration. There'll be a unique number there. So that, along with a picture of it, we can let you know whether the seal is legit or not. These items are available for sale all year round. They're the party snaps. And one of the recent questions I had was there was a Home Depot selling these, and there was a question whether it was legal or not. So I let them know, yeah, it's legal, but they have to have the Safe and Sane seal on them as well. These are friction initiated. They have a small amount of silver fulminate on them, which is a high explosive. And when they rub together, they explode. These are a little different, and you'll see these mixed in with other fireworks, illegal and legal. And these are marketed as kind of the cool version of the other caps, the snap caps. And these do not obviously have the Safe and Sane seal on them, and they have a significant amount of explosive powder or pyrotechnic composition inside. And the important thing about these is to keep them separate from the other fireworks, because since they are friction sensitive, that if you pile all your other seized fireworks on top of these, and maybe there's a little bit of spilled powder from your fireworks, and these explode, it has the capability to cause a chain reaction in your stack of fireworks. So one of our main things on our fireworks seizure form is separate these out, because it's mostly a hazard to public safety. It's not just a because we said so kind of thing. It's keeping you safe, seizing these things, transporting them to wherever you're gonna store them, back of your station or wherever. And I've actually seen these go off while we've been processing fireworks, and it's really scary to hear and see. But we like to mitigate that by separating out where we're processing fireworks and then where we're storing them. So not all of that's happening in the same location, where if one of these does go off, it'll be in a controlled area away from everything else. Because we get fireworks from all over the state, and they're in all different types of configurations and conditions. So Title 19 and the health and safety codes, they lay out how fireworks are supposed to be designed, and they work with the Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, and all these other agencies to ensure that all the products that are going out that are safe and sane, and even in other states where the fireworks that are deemed illegal in California or dangerous fireworks, they still have to follow a national standard. So 50 milligrams of pyrotechnic composition is a standard for consumer products, and anything above that or outside that either falls into professional or it's an illegal explosive. So that's just kind of how we get the information to draft these laws. And we also do testing with these partners. So these are all the health and safety code chapters where you can find all this stuff. I'm not going to get too in-depth on that because it's a pretty dry information. So these Senate bills and Assembly bills that were passed in the recent years, it just shows that people care about illegal and dangerous fireworks because they cause injuries, they cause fires, they cause deaths, and people all throughout the state were asking for more training and more information about fireworks and firework seizures. So it gave us guidance to provide training and education in accordance with the health and safety code. So this helps us help you because since it's codified now, then we can get more funding for training like this. And hopefully when we get more investigators, we can branch out to in-person training and actual physical examples of these items. But since there was such a demand for this recently, there's no way we could visit all these hundreds of agencies that are reaching out with only the 4 investigators that we have. So illegal fireworks in California, it's all these listed items, but one of the simple ways to tell something is illegal is if it goes up in the air, moves on the ground in an uncontrolled manner, or explodes. So when I see an item, when I'm about to see something, almost all of them have a warning on the side. And one of the biggest ones is it says shoots flaming balls. You know, that's a pretty dead giveaway that it's an illegal, dangerous firework. And the other thing is that it doesn't have that safe and sane seal on it. It's automatically an illegal firework. And here are some examples of different fireworks. These up on the top left are bottle rockets of different shapes and sizes. And just other types of rockets. One of the key ID features on these is they have a stick. It's for putting it on the ground or in something to where it doesn't fall over initially while you light it. But when it flies up in the air, it's also for stability. So it doesn't just go up in the air and then come right back down. It has some means to keep the bottom down and the top up. And these are like Roman candle types. These are pretty popular in seizures. I've seen thousands of these things. And you can see why they're dangerous. They shoot fire out of the end, and if they're not manufactured correctly, they sometimes explode in people's hands. These are commercial 1.4 fireworks or consumer fireworks. These are some products that are legal, say in Nevada or other states. And the top left is there are different examples of aerial shells. One of the most common ones is the one that is red and yellow on the right, like it's almost like a soda can size. And then the mortar tubes are those either PVC black tubes or the paper ones that come in the packaging. So it's aerial shell, mortar tube. And sometimes we get a lot of these and they're bare product. We get a lot of the PVC tubes. Uh, those can be used in the initial weighing of the product for the gross weight for charging. So in health and safety code 12700, it goes by different weights. So, over 100 pounds of illegal dangerous fireworks is a felony. So getting that gross weight, you can weigh all the dunnage, you can weigh all the packaging and all that. And once you have that, if you have loose product and the PVC tubes are in there, you can, if it's okay with your prosecutor, you can toss those because they're just trash, the empty mortar tubes. That's if you have a space consideration. These are examples of illegal dangerous fireworks and or just firecrackers. The main thing is they don't have the safe and sane seal on them, and they do explode. The one on the left is sometimes confused with a destructive device like the M type device, which I'll show a picture of later. But basically these are legal items that they still contain under that 50 milligram amount of pyrotechnic composition by CPSC. And but they just advertise them as the biggest, best thing ever, 4,000, 10,000, but they still, even though they're a larger item, it's just the same small amount of pyrotechnic composition inside of a larger container with inert filler. So that's how you can tell those. They're really bright and trying to attract people to buy them where they're able to buy them. So that's why we have the increased penalties over the last couple of years. They doubled the fines. It's just we found that when they're not used properly and illegally transported into the state from, say, Nevada or someplace, there are a lot more injuries with these items. So people care about that, and we were able to double all of our fines to help not only with deterring that type of behavior, but decreasing injuries and fires from fireworks. And California has the trifecta for wildfire risk. So we have great weather, very topography, and dry cured fuels most of the year. And people ask, like, why does California care so much about illegal fireworks? And it's a huge risk for just a simple shooting an aerial firework and then causing a several 100,000 acre fire is not worth it for us. So that's why we take the harder stance on it. Are we the fun place? Yeah, maybe. It's also not fun burning people's houses down. So with our program, we like to make a multifaceted approach on the preventing fire. So the illegal, dangerous fireworks, trying to keep those out off the streets with our local partners. One of the bigger things is home hardening, defensible space, and all the different tools that are part of our office. And we encounter, I think just this year we've encountered about 600,000 pounds of fireworks, illegal, dangerous fireworks, and just estimating based on our current seizures, we've prevented millions in damages, injuries, and death in the recent civil unrest down in LA. I don't know if people have been seeing the news and stuff like that, but there are people in civil unrest that have been using illegal, dangerous fireworks as well against police and amongst crowds and stuff like that. So that is a deadly threat. So we actually did testing at Beale Air Force Base a couple years ago, and we use ballistic torsos and hands and stuff like that. And if you see the capability of an aerial shell or one of the M style devices against a human hand or a human torso, it's definitely a deadly threat. And I've actually had calls from agencies where they asked me and they said, hey, there was somebody traveling down the road and they employed a firework against somebody. What illegal firework statute is that to throw a firework at somebody? So the thing I hear all the time is they're just fireworks, they're just fireworks. And actually fireworks cause a lot more injuries than is put out there. But I tell them, hey, that's assault with a deadly weapon, because that exploding next to your torso or next to your face can cause severe injury and death. And terrorists harvest pyrotechnic powders from fireworks to use in their devices. So they don't have to make homemade explosives in their kitchen or in their house. They can just go to some place where they sell fireworks, cut them open, and then they have a product that's ready to go in whatever container that they choose. So this is one of our recent examples. That's about 40,000 pounds all packaged up, ready to get shipped out to a hazardous waste disposal contract. So that's like an intermediate amount. So that's I did that in one day in San Jose with those guys. There was a fire, an explosion in San Jose, and we actually got just under 40,000 pounds like that. And that's where the reaching out to the arson bomb unit is critical in the first couple minutes of the incident. Say, hey, this is something that's probably going to be big. We need some help. We got fireworks or explosives. Get your bomb squad in, notified early. That way they can get out there and get eyes on. And then we can get the ball rolling. Right now we have trucks rented out for the fireworks season. So we can go to you if there's a large seizure, and whether it's a few 100 pounds, few 1,000 pounds, we can always scale that and call more people in. So these are the two main categories that people have questions on. Yeah, mostly when it comes to the seizure reporting. So the online seizure, you have different options for your fireworks. So it's the Department of Transportation 1.4. One is the Division for Explosives. And so 1.4 consumer dangerous would be on the top left. So it's the colorful stuff. It's meant for families that are going by a stand in a place where it's legal to say, hey, that looks really good. My kids want that. I want that. We're gonna spend hundreds of dollars on this item. So flashy, good looking, 1.4 consumer. On the right side, which is the brown, boring looking but larger aerial shells, that is your DOT 1.3 display. And you notice something different about it as well. It's got the quick match on top, and that's not a normal fuse. That's meant for almost instantaneous ignition. So what I've seen sometimes is people mistake that for the one on the left, the 1.4 consumer, and they try to light that quick match, and that large, 3 to 4 inch aerial shell, display shell, that quick match goes in a split second, and that item explodes in their hand or in their face, and it's a bad day. So, and it's also just good as public safety to be able to look at something immediately and say, I know what that is, and I know to separate these out, because 1.4 and 1.3 are supposed to be separated out. And when you handle these things, treat them with respect. So I've seen some people throw them. I've seen some people uh, that are careless with these items, and you're only putting yourself in danger as a public safety person. So um, I've seen the worst that can happen with fireworks, and a lot of different case studies where people break fireworks apart to try to save space in their containers or stuff like that. And all these powders, they're susceptible to heat, shock, friction, static. And when you break things open or you disrespect the product, it will bite you. So over half of all injuries to public safety related to explosives are caused by pyrotechnics or fireworks like this. It's a lot of the obvious stuff. Um, don't shuffle your feet in powders. Like if you notice something is broken and spilled on the floor or on the ground, pause your operation, sweep it up carefully, and then continue. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, call bomb squad, call us. Say, hey, I don't know what to do with this. Obviously, keep flame and smoking materials away from the processing and storage area. Yeah, don't drop, roll, slide, throw fireworks. Seen all of that. And static, that's a big thing. Wearing cotton, like cotton clothing, or your Nomex. I'd recommend that if you're able to, but don't wear big puffy jackets or stuff like that when you're processing this stuff, because like when you shuffle your feet on the ground or on the carpet, and then you go touch your doorknob, and you have that static discharge. That same spark coming from your hand, there are powders in pyrotechnic devices and illegal explosives that are very susceptible to that type of influence. So uh, just minimize that by wearing cotton clothing, wear your Nomex, and don't process everything where you're going to store it as well. And this is a multifaceted approach as well. So accurate reporting and documentation, that's through our fireworks seizure platform. On the website we'll give you later, and QR code you can print out. We have a cheat sheet as well we can email out. So that helps, because if we know exactly how much you got, like if I see a seizure come in that is 20-30,000 pounds, and it comes across our email, it goes to the entire unit. We say, hey, this agency has a lot waiting to get picked up or dropped off, and it's more of a safety issue if it stays there for a long time. So if agencies have lots of fireworks and they haven't reported it to our office, that's actually required by law, they're just doing themselves a disservice. So we've seen a lot of targeted enforcement with different agencies. They have controlled by busts and task forces for it, where they browse the internet for it, Craigslist, Instagram, TikTok, and all those places where they like to sell fireworks. So we support that, and if you look for it, you're going to find it. We just, as the arson bomb unit, we don't have the resources to do smaller enforcement like that. So we'd like to go after the larger seizures, to where we can target, hundreds of thousands of pounds, to where those products are likely going into the streets later on. But then, we support the agencies that do those smaller busts and then accumulate, but they also need to be reporting so that we have an accurate amount, so that they're not stockpiling fireworks that creates a public safety issue later on. And that's the QR code I was talking about for the fireworks seizure form that I created a couple of years ago with our IT office. And this is that meets the requirement for the 3-day seizure, or 3 days after the seizure. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute to fill out if you have all your information. And these are some examples of destructive devices and illegal explosives for identification purposes. So just because you are enforcing fireworks laws doesn't mean you're only going to find fireworks. So people sometimes submit these as fireworks, and it's kind of scary for multiple reasons, because one, the person submitting it innocently put it in with fireworks, and they didn't really fully appreciate the danger of these items. So that's one thing we like to touch on, is just a brief recognition of stuff where, hey, this looks different from the main categories of 1.3 and 1.4. And it may look like a firework, but if it doesn't have a safe and sane seal on it, or it looks like the item on the bottom right, the red item with the long fuse, those are destructive devices under California statute. And the middle top picture, those are destructive devices, but they're also they're made out of metal. They're cricket bombs. So each one of these carries a different sensitivity, a different risk, because we don't know who made it. We don't know the sensitivity of the pyrotechnic composition inside. And any one of these items in this picture is capable of serious injury or death. So even that pile of powder on the top right, that looks like flash powder. So if you come into a house, they have regular fireworks, but then they're also manufacturing stuff like on the bottom right, the red one. That can create a risk in and of itself. So down in Kings County, we had a house where they were not only selling fireworks and using fireworks, the regular consumer dangerous stuff, but they were also manufacturing destructive devices in a kid's room. And initially, the investigators that called for help, they said, "Hey, we need help with these fireworks over here." So we went and helped them with the fireworks and said, "Hey, that's actually flash powder manufacturing, and they're actually manufacturing destructive devices." So it's above that 50 milligrams of pyrotechnic composition, and the way it was being employed was chargeable under a felony under a different statute. So even if they had misdemeanor amounts of fireworks, they were manufacturing explosives, which is a felony. So it's good to reach out early and get that information. That way you're not exposing your team to some risks. We're going to get more into explosives and IEDs and destructive devices. That's the definition of explosives based off the health and safety code. The health and safety code and the federal laws, they all have a similar definition of explosives. Any of the fire people, if you read it, it kind of sounds like a chemical reaction, like a fire. So it's just a different variations of a chemical reaction. So fire is a very slow chemical reaction versus a deflagration or detonation. But you still think of it the same way. You need a fuel oxidizer, produces gas and heat. And the Federal Register has a list of explosives, and it's always getting updated and changed because new compositions come out, and they don't like to box themselves in. And uh, there's room for deeming stuff as explosive. And the arson bomb unit in our office, we can test materials and then determine the chemical composition of it. We have detectors that can help test this stuff, and we have lab contacts that can also figure out what stuff is. So explosives are categorized by the rate of, or the velocity of reaction. So we have high explosives and low explosives, and then high explosives are broken down even further into primary, secondary, tertiary, and then we have low explosives. So low explosives, they just burn really quickly, and that's hundreds of feet per second. And they usually require containment to explode. So that'd be like a mechanical explosion versus a chemical explosion, which is like C4, a high explosive. So if you put a pile of smokeless powder, black powder on the ground, unconfined, it's just gonna go poof right in front of you, and it's gonna create a flash and a little bit of smoke if it's black powder. Obviously, smokeless powder is smokeless, but once you put that into any type of container, then it will build up pressure inside that container and then quickly overcome that container, and it'll cause an explosion. High explosives like C4, they don't need any containment to explode. So we'll get into that a little bit more. So sensitivity as well. Primary high explosives are usually what are in detonators or blasting caps. And it's like a step up chain reaction. So heat from a bridge wire from a detonator or cap, it reacts with the primary high explosive. And that explosive reacts with the secondary high explosive. And it basically just keeps a chain reaction going, and different high explosives need different impulses to get them to detonate. Just like tertiary high explosives are the least sensitive, and it's like ammonium nitrate, blasting agents, and stuff like that. So you need several different steps to get things to detonate reliably. So it's a lot of knowledge that goes into it, but you can also tell when people are testing items and they don't really know that. So you might get to a scene and see something going on. You're like, I feel like they were using explosives, but I don't know why it didn't work. And that's where you kind of involve the bomb squad and us to get in there and say, yeah, something's fishy. And then you might see that they didn't really understand this concept of the chain reactions going on. And low explosives like powders and propellants, they're not classified by their sensitivity. They're usually classified by grain size. You're going to see a lot of this out and about. They they're used as propellants. A lot of people reload their own bullets, and they sometimes people just buy it to make pipe bombs, like you see in the picture in the middle. So these are primary high explosives like HMTD. One of these might be TATP. Um, Silver azide was one of the ones that was in those little snap caps that I was talking about earlier, the little novelty ones. So they contain a tiny amount of uh, silver azide in there, and just that little bit of friction allows them to make that nice little pop. So fun fact, there is high explosive in those snap caps. And one of the biggest things is these white powders and different weird colored powders can be yellow tinge or like a beige powder. They can be confused as some types of drugs. So I like to say, look at the totality of your circumstances. If you have explosive precursors, a lot of those can melt over into the drug world. So look at everything you have there. Take a note down and say, hey, I have this chemical, this chemical, this chemical. What can I possibly have from this? And then you can share that with your hazmat team or your bomb squad, or reach out to us and say, what are they making here? And if it's not suspected drugs, like if your narcs come over there and they say, hey, this doesn't look like any type of drug scene that I've seen recently, it's a possibility it could be explosive. So reach out, get that identified, because some of these powders, even moving those coffee filters like on the bottom right, can cause the crystals in there to break down, and it will cause an explosion or detonation. Secondary high explosives, you might see these depending on where you're at. And these are reliable, not very sensitive to heat shock and friction. And they're meant to be able to be carried by military and other professionals throughout their jobs. And they require a blasting cap usually to detonate them. So the likelihood of people coming across these is a lot lower than fireworks or homemade explosives like flash powder. But it's just good to recognize this, and if it's military ordnance or mining stuff, it could be stolen, or you know you just want to get it into the right hands or let people know. That way, either the military can come take it for free, which is part of their responsibility, or you can figure out through law enforcement or the federal partners whether this was stolen from someone nearby. They all have lot numbers and everything, so it's pretty easy to track. And then tertiary high explosives or blasting agents, these are also some things that can be stolen for whatever reason. Um, Sometimes people that are on drugs, they like to dabble in explosive manufacturing. So for whatever reason, we've seen meth labs and explosive labs in the same realm. So um, some of these items get stolen. Ammonium nitrate is the explosive that was used in the Oklahoma City bombing 20 years ago. And that was ammonium nitrate and nitromethane, so racing fuel. And ammonium nitrate is actually the most common explosive used in the world. And the reason why it's common is because it's actually a fertilizer as well. So, and the regulation on ammonium nitrate is very difficult because if you over-regulate ammonium nitrate, whether it's a fertilizer or explosive, um, the fertilizer portion can just as easily be used for explosives. So there's not really a delineation of whether it's um, agriculture or explosive for mining. So they don't want to do that because if you overregulate it, the cost of vegetables would skyrocket if farmers had to store this stuff and package it the way explosives are supposed to be. So it's a lot harder to control ammonium nitrate for nefarious uses. So that's a fun fact from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF. Over half of all injuries to first responders are from pyrotechnics. So that's why I like to drive home those safety considerations for the people that are out there seizing this stuff, because I've seen times when people just throw stuff in a black plastic bag and throw it in their trunk. And I always say that's a bold move, because static heat from, depending on where you're at, if you're out in the desert and it's 120 degrees, you don't know what condition those fireworks are in. So you're playing with fire. Call the nearest bomb squad, and if they're not available for help, reach out to us. We like to have people call their local resources and other area resources before they call us. But low explosives like the powders and stuff, it just because it's in hundreds of feet per second reaction doesn't mean it's not dangerous. Hundreds of feet per second will kill you. So people say they're just fireworks or it's just this pyrotechnic powder, but I think that's why over half of the injuries are from pyrotechnics is because people think of, oh, it's just this or it's just that. And the rough handling, generating static, radio transmissions around unknown items, like if you have a suspected IED or homemade explosives in your scene, and if there's an electro explosive detonator or something like that that they're improvising, then keying up your radio even in that area will cause it to explode. So um, magnetic radiation from your just keying up your radio can set some stuff off. And I recommend just using your FBI response card or your ERG to get your standoff distances. People ask me about that, like, hey, how far do I get away from this? And we can't tell you to evacuate. We can't do anything like that. It's up to the person whose facility it is. But the ERG and other FBI cards for bombing incidents have those standoff distances. And usually those are only for like open blast or like just the blast pressure. So if something's like a big car out in the open and it says, get away this many feet, try to get behind something, like cover concealment, where if that item does go off, then you're at least behind something solid that will stop fragmentation. If you guys have more questions about that, we can dive into it later. Yeah, so fireworks and explosives are used for all types of activity, whether it's just regular street level criminal activity or all the way up to domestic or international terrorism. Last year, I believe there were several ATM thefts or at least attempts in the Sacramento area where they were using explosives to blow them up. Criminal mischief is year round, whether it's in the Bay Area or even I saw some this morning where people were using explosives in the riots down in LA. The Cybertruck bombing in Nevada, in Las Vegas, was fireworks and fuel outside the Trump Tower. I put California riots 2020 to present. I'm glad I put present because it's happening as of today. Boston Marathon bombings were harvested fireworks. It's an easy way to get pyrotechnic composition. So it's pretty common. And again, because you are searching for explosive items such as fireworks, you will come across IEDs or improvised explosive devices. Not because you want to, it's just it happens. I've seen it over the last several years, and the main thing is recognition of what these items are. So IEDs can be used on their own, or they can be combined with other materials to make them more hazardous or deadly. You can put fragmentation on them, strap some radioactive material to the outside, make a radioactive dispersal device. IEDs are destructive devices by California statute, but destructive devices can include a lot more other things. So we'll get into that as well. So IEDs, it's just up to the imagination of whoever's building that bomb. So some things that I like to point out is there's a difference between an unattended item and then a suspicious item. Unattended is treated differently than a suspicious item. So an unattended item, there's just a bag somewhere that somebody left, and there's nothing really weird about it. A suspicious item is something that is, say you see a toggle switch coming out of it, or you see a little antenna coming out of it, and it's put near ingress or egress routes or something importance, critical infrastructure, gas tanks, stuff like that. So just because there's an item somewhere doesn't make it automatically suspicious. Like if there's a huge meeting coming up and somebody ran up, placed an item there, and then messed with it real quick and then ran away, that's more suspicious than just somebody leaving something around. But IEDs generally have components like a power source, the blasting cap, whether it's commercial or improvised, explosives, whether it's homemade explosives, low explosives like a pyrotechnic powder, like smokeless powder, black powder, and some type of switch, whether it's a sophisticated cell phone or if it's just a mouse trap with foil and wires on one end. Uh, it's really up to this sophistication and what the person's trying to do. If they're trying to get away, it might include a timer, stuff like that. So, and if they're running up to go play something, you are more likely to see stuff like that. Because if they're just trying to switch it on, switch the timer on, and then run away, it might stay like that. So just a little heads up on that. So all IEDs are destructive devices, but in California statute, even Molotov cocktails, like a glass bottle with a wick and a flammable substance with a flash point of uh, less than 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So larger than 50 caliber weapons, also acid bombs. So the chemical reaction bombs that kids often do, they take the aluminum foil and they put it in with Drano. So those are actually considered a destructive device under California code. So the California codes and the federal like Title 18 US codes for destructive devices are a little different. So, and it also depends on the federal jurisdiction as well. So like the destructive devices, like the M devices for California are a destructive device outright. But since they have a paper container or like a cardboard container, some federal jurisdictions don't consider those as destructive devices because they think it's more of like a hobby versus a dangerous item that's meant to kill people. So the biggest difference between state and federal is that there's no other use for that item than a weapon. So that's how I would differentiate federal law. Is that yeah, if you take one of those cardboard M devices, then you glue BBs to the outside. There's no other purpose for that item than to cause injury or death to somebody. So that would be something to think about, or just reach out to us. One thing I like to do when I'm charging my cases is read the CalCrim. So it gives you all the definitions and it goes into case law as well about all the elements of your crime. Like in order to be guilty of possession of a destructive device, you have to do this, this, and this, and it defines destructive device. And in order to properly prosecute these things, you have to, make sure that you have good examination of your items. So if you don't have the knowledge, training, or experience to do so, it won't last very long in court. So if somebody says, "Oh, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that?" Oh, well, I watched this webinar and they told me what these items are. It's like, no, you need to reach out a little bit more and get an expert there to collect the item correctly after it's been rendered safe. First thing is to make sure that there's no further public safety risk. And then once there's no public safety risk, then we can prosecute it a little bit better for fingerprints, DNA, get the pictures and explosive or pyrotechnic composition, weight, type of filler, do a flame test, and then send off or collect samples. And the way we like to collect samples is I did a federal case for the UC Berkeley firebombing. Is you collect 3 different samples. You collect one for the lab, one for the defense, and then one for long-term storage. If it ever gets appealed or anything like that. So those are the types of resources we like to say, hey, just reach out. We'll help you. We'll walk you through this. And if we're not available, we can point you in the right direction. And we have explosive specialists in our unit that can provide your court testimony and no charge. These are different penal codes. Depends on where it's at too and how it's used. So just possessing stuff is up on top, the 18710. And then 18720 is good because it's the components. So if you see different explosive precursors, and then you can kind of get an expert on scene with pictures, or we come out there and say, these chemical precursors, this process on this table, and then the end product, they're constructing destructive devices. And of course, if they're carrying them on the street or near a school or something like that, you have the 18715. And then the bottom portion is just if you have these employed somewhere and they explode, then just consider reaching out to the FBI or your AUSAs, assistant U.S. attorneys, because there are different protected places for the domestic and foreign terror statutes where these charges can carry a lot more jail time if they're against a protected class or location. And these are some of the common fireworks violations. So the one that I like to use is Health and Safety Code 12700. And you just have to read which one you have based on your weight. And just know that anything in excess of 100 pounds is a felony. So Health and Safety Code 12700B, and then just read the number, which one applies to the amount you're seizing. It matters because the fine amount and for the overall charge. So if you charge them for 100 to 5,000 pounds, that's only like I think it's a $5,000 fine. But if you charge them they have over 5,000 pounds, that bumps it up to a minimum of $20,000 fine. So it's important in that aspect where you just get the right charges. And it's good because since those charges have doubled, it's a real good deterrent. And over the years, we've done various enforcement and public safety demonstrations. This is one we did for blowing up hands and torsos that I told you about.
$75 tons of illegal fireworks seized in the largest fireworks bust in California history.
We go live to Fox 11's Susan Hirasuna on scene in Gardena. What's happening with all of this, Susan? Well, right now everything is quiet. Gardena police say that the seizure of the largest haul of illegal fireworks took place on Friday, but we talked to a lot of the people who work in this industrial park. Nobody really saw anything. Perhaps they didn't really think anything of any activity because they didn't know it was fireworks. And it's surprising when you consider the sheer volume. Take a look. Gardena police released this video of a gigantic cache of illegal fireworks, and this is only 1/4 of the total seizure. The rest was found inside this warehouse. In all, 75 tons, believed to be the largest seizure of illegal fireworks in state history.
A little bit over 153 pallets total, and it took 5 53-foot trailers and 1 40-foot big rig to remove all of the fireworks.
Just unbelievable. I'm lost for words.
Kendall Small lives across the street. By the time he realized the fireworks were found so close to him, they had been safely removed.
Thank you. I mean, because this could have went pretty bad, you know, for a lot of people. So thank you.
He, like so many others, remembers what happened in South LA when LAPD seized 32 tons of fireworks almost exactly 3 years ago. The bomb squad tried to detonate on site to disastrous results. In this case, CAL FIRE determined the boxes and boxes of explosives were stable. CAL FIRE took the fireworks to an undisclosed location in San Bernardino. Sources tell Fox 11 News the explosives will be destroyed over the next 4 years. 3 people were arrested on weapons and possessions of explosives charges. 44-year-old Alejandro Rodriguez of Wilmington, 30-year-old Natalie Navarro of Carson, and 25-year-old Daniel Gudino of Wilmington. Despite the sheer volume, even the workers next door didn't see how the fireworks got delivered. But Joshua Nunez did see something unusual.
There was like 3 or 4 undercover police cars parking on driveway, like staring that way. They were gone like 2 hours later.
All right, well, ultimately, it's the state fire marshal that is in charge of destroying those illegal fireworks. And I'm told that over the years, the way that it is done, it's done slowly over several years, up to 4 years, because it costs so much. So instead of destroying these tons of illegal fireworks, it's going to be done in increments.
Investigation into an explosive fire at a San Jose storage facility led authorities to uncover a number of crimes. Police say on June 14th, a storage unit on Blossom Hill Road had a large amount of fireworks that caught fire. Well, the fire was so intense it burned the entire building, including everything inside. Now, 2 weeks into the investigation, San Jose police arrested 2 suspects after seizing 38,000 pounds of illegal fireworks with an estimated street value of $2 million.
Those photos that you see of boxes that are all stacked up in front of the storage units were taken out from additional storage units that fortunately did not catch fire, or else the devastation could have been much more tremendous.
A retired fire chief told ABC 7 News 38,000 pounds of illegal fireworks is enough to level a building or burn one down, a massive amount now off South Bay streets.
I would say it is the largest in San Jose and one of the largest in California.
That's insane. That's not just, you know, people driving up and getting fireworks for themselves. That's a whole operation.
Bryce Grennan says his family had pretty much everything in their storage unit because they were weeks away from moving. Grennan visits the storage facility every other day to see if he can salvage anything.
Her baby pictures or ultrasound pictures, everything was in there.
The fire destroyed an estimated 40 to 50 storage units. The thought of fireworks or the smell of something burning is now a trigger for so many others affected by the fire.
Yes, I didn't lose a life and my loved ones are safe, but it doesn't really take away the pain of losing things that you've worked so hard for that you can never get back.
Police say while the actual cause of the fire is still unknown, arson investigators are continuing their work. After searching more storage units and several homes, police also seized over 13 ounces of meth, more than 200 grams of cocaine, marijuana for sale, and 1 semi-automatic firearm. In the South Bay, Lauren Martinez, ABC 7 News.
So one of the important takeaways from those are that in those incidents, the one in Gardena was Charlie Elder, and he took care of that in about 2 days. But we were there the first day, and we were just able to cut out a lot of the logistical nightmares for that. And getting it to where we only have to handle it once is huge. So if people have those larger, you know, 20, 30, 40,000 pound seizures, and even his was, 75 tons. And that was the record until this last week, when, yeah, it was a lot more than that. But the one in San Jose was just a huge fire and explosion that happened at that storage facility on Blossom Road. And yeah, within, I think, 3 hours, we were able to get out there. The San Jose bomb squad called me out. They said, "Hey, we got a ton of fireworks. We need help." I said, "I got you." We got at least 3 rental trucks and 2 trucks with trailers. Went down there, took care of it the same day, and they were able to return that scene to somewhat normal, versus having those tens of thousands of pounds of fireworks on scene and having to deal with them later on or store them. So I just wanted to have everybody take the post test just to gauge how I can make this better and, just improve the overall learning, because just from the first iteration, I had some recommendations. So I feel like I addressed some of them, but I'm not perfect. I'll never claim to be. So if there's something that I didn't cover that you have questions about, we can do it in the Q&A, which is going to be live, or we're going to send out a survey after, just how you feel this can be improved, because this is only my second time doing this as a public outreach thing. I love what I do, and I know explosives, I know fireworks. I definitely don't like doing presentations, but I struggle through it. And any way I can help you, and any way you can help me get better, I appreciate it. I always have something to learn. I always have something to take away from interactions with people. And if there's a unique circumstance in your area, there's no amount too small that you seize, and there's nothing too large either. It just affects our time. So if it's going to take, 2 days, 3 days a week, we just need to prepare for that. And the earlier we know about it, the better. I'm going to leave this up here for another minute or so. I think Kara's going to put it in the chat as well. If you don't have a smartphone, you can just click on the link in the chat, and then it'll bring the post test up.
And it is currently in the chat, so please let us know if you're not able to access it.
Thank you. And that's the arson and bomb unit contact. One of the best ways to get a hold of us, we all get this arson bomb at fire.ca.gov email. So I see stuff come across there all the time, and it pings all the investigators at once. And it can be questions about, hey, what am I looking at, or what do I do with this? Pretty much anything, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
All right.
And Kara, actually, I want to run through a seizure report with everybody.
Perfect. I will put that again in the chat for everyone so you can all see.
Kara, can you see the fireworks seizure form on there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So with that QR code and the link that's in the chat, it takes you to this fireworks seizure form. This meets the requirements for all agencies seizing fireworks in the state of California to report them within 3 days of seizure. So it also says that it gives you the statute for the 3-day reporting requirement. But I mean, other than it being a state law and requirement in that sense, it's more of, if you don't report large seizures to our office and you're sitting on a large amount of product and we don't know about it, it's just creating a safety hazard for you. So it's not like a, hey, you need to do this because I said so. It's just because we don't want people sitting on tens of thousands of pounds of fireworks when they don't need to, especially when it's hazardous evidence. And we can actually obtain court orders to destroy stuff as well. So people think you need to keep all your explosive evidence for prosecution, but you don't. So we talk to prosecutors and DAs about this all the time and say, would you let me bring a bomb into a courtroom to testify about it? No, I don't think so. So this is the same thing as, like, there's no reason to keep this stuff around if you don't need to, because the longer it sits there, the easier it is for it to degrade and become more unstable. So this gives you a spiel about how to do this, what you're going to be submitting, and the stuff you should not be submitting. For all the public safety agencies that are not CAL FIRE law enforcement, I do see some CAL FIRE law enforcement in here, but for public safety agencies that are visiting with us, you just click no, and then you fill out your agency name, all this contact information, and then based on this training, you can choose the appropriate category. If you have both categories, it's going to ask you for the weight of each. So separate out your 1.4 and 1.3 fireworks. So 1.4 are the consumer, whether they're dangerous or safe and sane, depending on your jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions don't allow any fireworks, so we'll likely have both. But if you have the 1.3 display, it's going to need to wait for that. So dangerous, weight of the dangerous fireworks, 100 pounds or 100 pounds. Date of seizure, it's pretty simple. You just click on it. And then county where they were seized, that's important to us for tracking. And then reason for your seizure, HNS. Oh, that's not it. Just a simple explanation. And if you had any, these are the other fields that are required by law for us to collect. So if you had any arrests, the number of arrests, criminal citations, administrative citations, fines, stuff like that. And then another important one is the storage location. So that way, once you reach out to our office aide, we know where to go. So I'm sure we'll be in contact with whoever the agency is to go and pick them up, but it just kind of helps us plan as well. Because I like to do what's called a fireworks safari in my rental truck, and I'll plan out a route to where I can get as many agencies in one day as possible, and then it just makes more sense that way. So yeah, please put the exact location where you're storing fireworks. It's going to be different from the seizure location or seizure county potentially. And then you can drop pictures in here, and that helps us identify how much you got, what you got, and if there's something off the wall that we notice in the pictures, then we can reach out to you and say, hey, I noticed something in your pictures that is dangerous. You might want to do this, or you didn't get a chance to reach out to the arson bomb work box. and ask, then we can address it if we see something crazy in the pictures. And if you have any comments or questions, you can type them in here. We all see that. And then this is just agreeing that you read the first page and you know what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do. You understand all that. And then type in your name, phone number, email, submit. It's pretty quick. So one page seizure report, and then you get a confirmation number on the top, and it'll be your last name. And then once you click submit, you're going to get an automated email with that confirmation attached to your last name. So if an agency reaches out to me and they say, hey, I have 10,000 pounds of fireworks, why haven't you picked it up yet? The first thing I ask them is, hey, what's your confirmation number? Do you have a confirmation email? And when was that submitted? And I can look it up, and it's pretty easy. And if they haven't done it, then I send them the QR code, the link, or however they want to fill it out. But this absolutely needs to get filled out within 3 days. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, great presentation. We will be now opening it up for questions, and we do have a few questions in the chat that we will address first. So one of the first ones were, can we use the content like the photos?
Which photos?
So I'm guessing in the presentation, like the example pictures of the fireworks or any of the pictures in the PowerPoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So once we send the presentation to all of you, it will be in a PDF format just because it is so large to email. But if you're interested in any image in particular that you want to use, feel free to just respond and we can get you the higher resolution of that image. Next question, do you have a minimum amount of seized fireworks schedule a pickup for disposal?
No, there's no minimum amount. Just if you have a tiny amount, it might take longer to get out to you. But yeah, any amount is reportable.
Next question, are the registration labels on the Safe and Sane fireworks a printed out label on the packaging or a sticker, and can those be forged to place onto illegal fireworks?
So the ones that are legit are built into the packaging of the firework. If it is a stuck-on sticker, that would raise my suspicion that it's something that's forged. So if there is a question, just reach out to our fireworks program or the arson bomb unit, and we can check the status of that item, because there are a long list based on the manufacturer as well.
Next question, what are the recommended methods for temporarily storing seized fireworks if a magazine is not available?
Temporary storage, I would keep it in like a Connex, away from fuel, away from buildings as far away as you can, and keep it away from ignition sources, other gas, and keep it locked as well, so that nobody tries to reacquire their illegal items. So secure facility, ideally away from people and buildings.
Thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll go through in the order that you all raise your hands. We have until noon, so we have about 26 more minutes. If you have any questions, now's the time. And just a reminder, if you haven't done so yet, please sign in using the Google form that was put into the chat, and I will also re-put that into the chat as well. Just list all names for everyone with your agency who is on the call. That way we have a record of everyone who's on here if you're sharing the Zoom in a conference room or anything like that. Okay. Yes, this presentation will be available. I got a direct message. The presentation will be available for future reference as a PDF. I will be sending it to everyone on this call. And we do have a link on our website too to submit to request the presentation again. And in the future, I know I'll work with Gershom and the team to start advertising if we have any other virtual ones to plan or anything in person. We will definitely let the group know. Okay. Okay, next question. Can we drop off fireworks at any CAL FIRE station?
I wouldn't. I would reach out to us first, because they may not have a place to store them. I'd just reach out to the arson bomb unit, and then we'll try to point you in the right direction for a proper place to take them. But yeah, I don't recommend just dumping them at a fire station right off the bat. So if you are a public safety agency, the health and safety code does say if you see stuff, you will hold it in trust. So that means the seizing authority holds it until the arson bomb unit can get it.
Okay, next question. Are smoke grenades handled the same as fireworks?
Javier, what type of smoke grenade are you talking about? M18 is a military smoke grenade, and that is handled by your nearest explosive ordnance disposal unit. So where are you at? Yeah, that might be like March Air Force Base EOD. Reach out to me after and I can get you in the point you in the right direction for them. They might be able to come out and take that from you.
Would it be okay if I put your email in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
You're welcome.
Okay, next question. I've heard there is a fireworks disposal and destruction site in Paris, California. Are they still accepting illegal fireworks?
Who's that run by, Ryan? Ryan or Brian?
Not really sure on that. Our kind of command staff asked about it because we had partnered with our local CAL FIRE last year during this time, when we had done a bunch of operations to seize fireworks during undercover buys and operations. And they took them, but then we were recently told, hey, they may be running something out of Paris, California, where they can be taken and transported to. We're still working with our local fire marshals here to try and figure that out. I just didn't know if you had any info on that.
I haven't heard of that. My recommendation is coordinate with the arson bomb unit, because the office of the state fire marshal is the only one responsible at the end. So if we have some type of agreement down there for like a centralized pickup or drop off location, then yeah, that'll be okay. But if somebody's doing a centralized location on their own and they're not letting us know, then it's I don't know, it creates more moving parts where it just kind of convolutes things. But yeah, just reach out to us and then we can definitely point you in the right direction, or figure out the validity of that.
And then one other question that I had with we see some fireworks just on an undercover sting last week. But on the website, are you guys wanting individual, like, we confiscated maybe, I don't know, 15 pounds or something like that, nothing significant. Does each seizure need to be documented independently, or say, hey, we're running sting operations now up to probably the 6th? Would it be more prudent to, hey, here's a collective of what we had from incidents, or do everything report individually?
I would do it individually because there are different time requirements based on the health and safety code. So there's an initial 10 days where the person you're seizing it from has the opportunity to petition the court or petition our office as well, saying, hey, those people that seized them from me were incorrect and I actually am entitled to these fireworks. And then we look at it, say, well, is seized under this seizure form, then oh yeah, they actually had a permit. So then we can put those aside and say, we're not going to seize these, we're going to give them back. So yeah, if any seizure, the like individual seizures need to be reported as such. So if you have a multi-day event, just log them as they go. Orange County Sheriff is, they do every single item that they do. So it just helps with tracking. Like we're gonna see a bunch of seizure reports from your organization, but we also see the total amount. So if we see it start skyrocketing in weight, you have 20,000 pounds, we're like, okay, yeah, we need to reach out to these guys and try to schedule a drop off or pickup of their items. But yeah, I definitely recommend doing it per seizure because it's real quick and yeah, it just helps with tracking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me make sure I address the other questions that people have.
I think one would be how fireworks can be safely stored. I know we touched on that, but maybe addressing on how fire stations can safely handle them and store them again.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend storing them outside the station in a connex away from your building as much as possible because people turning stuff in don't know what they're turning in sometimes, and then they're in all different types of conditions. So if you have some type of outdoor storage facility, recommend that away from people and buildings and fuel sources, fuel tanks, stuff like that. In far away corner somewhere, ideally. If there is a case by case consideration, reach out to our unit using that email or you can reach out to me personally and show me the location, and then I could point out somewhere on your map or in your building or whatever that is the safest possible for what you got. I know some places are constrained with the facilities they got. They may be in a small jurisdiction and that's all I got. So I'll help you the best that I can.
And then I'm looking at the screenshot of the feedback with the questions from last time. And I believe we touched on all of them, but if anyone has any additional questions, please let us know. But Bertram, we'll turn it back to you.
Perfect. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out to watch this and listen to me talk about explosives and fireworks for over an hour. But yeah, if there's something I didn't cover or if there's something you want more information about, I'm always looking to improve. And if there's a picture you want me to take a look at or anything like that, just send it to me and I'll get to you. I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you all. I will be sending the recording of this webinar as well to everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.